applying nature-based solutions for protection of urbanized coasts and their biodiversity. Urbanization is a global phenomenon, and human populations in cities are steeply increasing. Over 70% of people in Europe live in cities, and this is expected to increase to over 80% by mid-century. This means that 36 million new urban citizens needing houses, employment, and care by 2050. Biodiversity loss, the climate emergence, and the sustainable developmental goals also call for transformative changes over this time frame. Indeed, European citizens are facing a broad range of challenges. Climate change losses caused by an alarming increase in natural disasters, unsustainable urbanization and related human health issues, and the degradation and loss of natural capital, the world's stock of natural assets, and the ecosystem services it provides, such as clean air, water, and soils. The European Green Deal steps up efforts on climate proofing, resilience building, prevention, and preparedness. Public and private investments, including in nature-based solutions, are a key component of the transformational change needed to adapt to climate change and to help ongoing efforts to limit it. Nature-based solutions are actions that are designed to bring more nature and natural processes to cities and beyond. These innovative solutions are a win-win by supporting economic growth, enhancing our well-being, and supporting biodiversity at all its levels of complexity, from genes to species, species interactions, and ecosystems. The benefits for nature and biodiversity are triple. First, the creation of natural habitats directly increases local diversity by providing living opportunities for species that could otherwise not thrive in urbanized landscapes. Second, an increased species diversity, together with enlarged surfaces where these species can settle, restores ecological processes like nutrient, energy, and water cycling, as well as providing connectivity between the different locations. The impact of nature-based solutions is thus manifesting beyond the local scale and supports the restoration and maintenance of a larger regional diversity. Nature-based solutions to mitigate floods, for instance, comprise the creation and maintenance of wetlands, urban green spaces, forests along hill slopes, and typical coastal vegetation like mangroves and dunes. Urban areas situated along the Two Seas coastline are particularly vulnerable to extreme sea level rise, increased time and storm frequencies. Flood risks will increase at a factor 100 and impact a total of 70 million people, while 1,000 milliards euros properties are located within 500 meters of the current coastline. Coastal flood protection plans and policies focus for the moment predominantly on using and deploying traditional grey infrastructure, so heavy engineering, and largely ignore the use of nature-based solutions. Such hard infrastructure does, however, lack flexibility, is static, and quite expensive to build or rebuild. It provides very few additional benefits, maybe except a lazy walk. Soft infrastructure, on the other hand, by building with nature, and specifically building dunes, provides an alternative. When designed well, they are flexible, self-regulating, cheap, and providing multiple benefits by their services to humans. The question is therefore raised, amongst others by the World Bank, whether nature and dunes specifically can help us managing the risks of growing climate extremes. We search for answers within the Interact Two Seas project, ENDURE. A first explorative study showed in this perspective that replacing current management of beaches in front of coastal cities by building dunes in front of the existing dikes provides multiple ecosystem services. It is found to positively impact water quality regulation, recreation, and tourism, and of course also flood protection. But why are dunes then such ideal nature-based solutions? The key lays in their biology, with one important player, marram grass. Marram grass is a plant species dominating the foredunes. It fixes sand by developing deep roots that function as nets and hinder aeolian transport, so the transport of sound particles with the wind. Marram grass not only prevents transport of sand from the beach, it also captures the sand and thereby makes dunes growing in volume and height. They thus shape the eventual dunes and grow vigorously as long as sand input is guaranteed. Because marram grass is not only growing vertically with the dune, but also laterally, it eventually dominates the dune and forms green dikes very close to the sea. Such green dunes can however only exist when sand input is high. When the latter ceases, they die off, because of the activity of one giant enemy. Parasitic worms, nematodes that infect the roots. When marram grass dies off, sand dynamics may increase again, or other vegetation may take over. Under natural conditions, dune formation starts by the settlement of sprouts, often as a result from earlier erosion events that released parts of the roots from existing tussocks. Evidently, the formation of these embryonic dunes can only proceed when beaches remain untouched and uncleaned, as for instance witnessed during the COVID crisis and the lockdown during the spring of 2020. Simulations show how fast dunes can grow from a single establishment event of embryonic dunes. On the left-hand side, you see a 3D simulation of dune growth, and on the right-hand side, a top view of the accompanying changes in marram grass growth. Similarly, after storm events, dunes are able to regrow and hence to regenerate at short time frames. Dunes can as easily be built by the planting of marram grass on profiled sand volumes. This is common practice now at some places along our coast. But it is not new, as local fishers and farmers have been using this technique already for centuries to protect their fields and households. The question thus remains, how and how much marram grass needs to be planted? Data from satellite images on the left and modeling on the right demonstrate that an intermediate cover and quite dispersed planting of marram grass provides the highest benefits for dune growth. However, a dense cover of marram grass, so having a real green dike, does the best job in keeping the sand in place, especially during storms. Such dunes in front of dikes thus have the capacity to decrease sand transport to the inland. As witnessed for instance during the 2020 storm Odette, severe sand displacements may hinder important economic activities, including public transport. Nature-based solutions also sustain biodiversity. Embryonic dunes and fort dunes, also referred to as blonde or white dunes, are classified in the European Habitat Directive. This directive promotes the maintenance of biodiversity actions to conserve threatened species, habitats and natural heritage. It promotes the improvement of the ecological coherence of these natural habitats, both in terms of connections between different types, from beaches to embryonic dunes and fort dunes, but also between them into a larger ecological network. And finally, the directive also enforces member states to consider these measures in their land use planning and development. The two habitat types of direct relevance here are thus embryonic walking dunes and mobile dunes on the shoreline with marram grass. Shifting embryonic dunes harbor a very specific and extremely threatened biodiversity, with plants and arthropods from the floodmark and highly threatened breeding birds like this Kentish plover on the right. The flora of the white dunes is equally distinct and containing many locally protected species and species that deserve conservation. These plants attract insects by providing food, both in terms of plant tissue, plant fluids, and nectar. And further up on the food chain, these herbivores are prey for their predators, enemies like robber flies, spiders, and birds. The most important contribution of nature-based solutions to biodiversity is that they simply provide space for all these species to coexist. The presence of species does, however, depend on their body size, with large species simply needing more space to build up viable populations. As you can see from this graph, the average size of dune reserves is not sufficient to maintain populations of animals larger than 100 grams. As a comparison, the mean size of marine reserves is neither sufficient for the protection of species larger than half a kilo. Finally, urban areas are currently real barriers for the movement of many species among the remaining dune areas. They thus impede the colonization of new areas and the subsequent gene flow needed to maintain healthy populations in fragmented landscapes. By building dunes in front of cities, isolated populations will be connected and hence rescued from genetic impoverishment and potential local extinction. Dunes as nature-based solutions are thus essential for the protection of urbanized coasts and their biodiversity.